you know everything, or you say you can't feel a single thing. Say you didn't feel it when you kissed me. Why you got red cheeks then, huh? What?
Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Angel Baby Kyra. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go follow me on Instagram and TikTok. But today, we're going to be taking a little deep dive kind of into the male manipulator music meme, the male manipulator, I guess, himself. We're going to talk about it and why this is so appealing to a lot of people despite the toxic traits that come with this, and why this has become so popular. So, as everything in pop culture mostly stems from Twitter. So this originated from Twitter in 2020 on November 16th when a Twitter user short circuit tweeted, "Ladies and lads, what are some music red flags? For example, Radiohead, Slow Dive, The Smiths, male manipulator music, if you will." The tweet was later deleted because a lot of people expressed their anger for the music artists that were mentioned in this tweet, and a lot of people were like not having it. One person said, "Slow Dive is male manipulator music is the take that will finally get me to log off this website. Calling Slow Dive male manipulator music is the dumbest thing I've seen on here in a minute. We desperately need a vaccine. People's brains are disintegrating." Over the years, I just see like a lot of people are more protective over their favorite music artists, over their favorite songs, over their favorite albums, and I just think it just increases like every year. Like people are like literally stabby over this. I feel like this mostly pertains to Gen Z and after. This doesn't really apply. I feel like millennials don't really care about this, but I feel like male manipulator music, or the judgment of someone's music taste, it's either you're a male manipulator or you're like normal, which is hardly ever the case, it seems like. And I feel like this applies mostly to girls or femmes that are in the dating scene and that are like trying to get to know this person, but as soon as they say, "Oh yeah, my favorite artist is the Smiths," that's just like a red flag. Like, hello, like emotionally unavailable. But like, what is the reason behind that? Why do so many men that are labeled male manipulators gravitate to these kinds of music? And there's just so many patterns that I feel like girls or femmes have realized and try to escape it and try to not repeat the same thing, but it can't help but like the aesthetic and the taste and the appeal of what male manipulators like are aesthetically, aside from their toxic traits that are often pinned to them, which are being emotionally unavailable, gaslighting you, just overall being a terrible person, maybe verbally abuse you, maybe physically abuse you, and things like that. So we're gonna get into the male manipulator themselves. So to me, I feel like there are primarily two kinds of male manipulators, even though give or take there can be subgenres, which there are. But I feel like, me personally, what I've seen is there are indie sleaze boy male manipulators and high fashion male manipulators. Okay, this is the things that are associated with the male manipulator of either genre, which are the memes of Patrick Bateman from the infamous film American Psycho. There have been a lot of memes concerning this, like everyone's like, "No, he just like me for real." Like it's funny, but then it's not, because some people actually do resonate with Patrick Bateman. If you haven't seen American Psycho, he basically unalives people because he's just a straight up narcissist and just only cares about himself and he's emotionally unavailable. Point blank, like he's just emotionally unavailable. And I watched this for the first time like with my ex, but when we weren't dating yet, and I was crying to him about this other guy who was literally a male manipulator and was emotionally unavailable and just couldn't feel anything. And you would think that I'd be like, yeah, that's a red flag, but it's just like, what is the appeal? I don't understand. The characteristics of Patrick Bateman include being called a psychopath, which I guess he is. I'm not really sure about the actual definition, but people say he's a psychopath, hence the movie name, is someone on the fringe of charming and manipulative, which I guess charming comes into manipulation. Someone who knows how to work people in a level of narcissism that teeter-totters on the line of his fragile self-concept. So he literally loses his shit when someone's business card looks better than his and he's just like wants to unalive them, you know? Very fragile self-concept, but at the same time very narcissistic. Like, it's this dichotomy that I don't even understand how it works. And the pretentiousness that oozes from these guys that are male manipulators that stand outside a golf store in Fairfax while they wait to buy shirts that they will carefully hang in their closets, and they'll go perfectly with their cuff jeans and fingers accessorized by silver chunky rings. Fashion boys often cross over with indie boys, like I've said, and you have the ones that are high fashion going to the coolest underground raves, coolest fashion shows, howl in a warehouse in South Central LA. They have a sneaker collection and praise Rick Owens. And the male manipulator music plays into part of their fashion choices that gave them this basic starter pack that can easily be replicated by anyone. Music and fashion like reflect each other so much, but at the same time they don't necessarily have to. They don't always, like, I dress in all pink, right? But I love hard music. People are like, what the heck? So sometimes the way you dress doesn't reflect the kind of music you listen to. But in this case, I feel like there are certain key elements of fashion that someone can look out for as red flag along with their music taste. But if they just have like, if they just dress a certain way, I feel like that's not even a red flag. I feel like it's mostly the music has greater authority than their fashion choices, which I don't really understand myself. So these boys carry the biggest tote bags with a very curated Instagram feed that seems effortless but very chic. A lot of just, if we're talking about the high fashion boys, it's very just monochromatic, probably a lot of neutrals, probably a lot of like avant-garde stuff, a lot of stills. They probably do photography, and they put together and have just most perfect feed you probably could ever see, with comments from all of their friends saying how fire their fit is, but like in a really cool way. Like they're not gonna say, oh, that fit's fire. They're gonna, I don't even know, but if you know, then you know. Their Instagram stories are filled with either monochromatic images of coffee shops, gentrified coffee shops, or unboxings and brand new Balenciagas or Tabbies, or a screenshot of Frank Ocean's unreleased songs on SoundCloud. But the latter being pictures, the latter being indie sleaze, male manipulators, the latter being pictures of guitars on a poster-ridden room or a dirty mirror selfie showcasing their, as well, chunky rings and perhaps even a glimpse of one of their eyes lined with the smudgiest of eyeliner. Playing is a perfectly lined lyric of the Deftones. All kinds of male manipulators are said to gaslight, feel like they are misunderstood, are mysterious, and are pretentious, are emotionally unavailable, and are just overall not the nicest person. But I feel like this also dives into the bad boy image that white girls and femmes are so attracted to this, because it also has to do with how these girls and femmes view themselves. It's also a reflection on them and how they view themselves, because you would be with the person you would want, logically you'd want to be with the person that loves and respects you. If you see the patterns of someone like this, a lot of people are saying that it's like stupid to base someone off of their music taste and off of the way that they dress. But I feel like the music taste is, again, winning over the fashion taste, you know? But I feel like it's just like a lot of patterns, and these guys just kind of just fall into it like pretty effortlessly. Yeah, I guess it is kind of stupid to be judging people off of these traits, off of the music that they listen to. Because yeah, I've met people that like Frank Ocean or like the Smiths, and they're really nice, but also I was just looking at them like as a friend, not really in a dating realm. But every person that I've known who was like any male manipulator artist, the relationship was not cool. You know, to be honest, they just fit into these stereotypes. Like they just make it to, we're gonna look at the red flags in this music and how it translates to the red flags in the person listening to the music. So we're gonna look at an example from each side of the male manipulator spectrum, I guess we can call it. So first we'll start with the indie male manipulator, and we shall choose the music artist Neutral Milk Hotel. And personally, I love Neutral Milk Hotel, and we can get into femicide music later, or female manipulator music, in a different video, but today we're focusing on male manipulator music. So we're gonna look at Neutral Milk Hotel, but more specifically the album Aeroplane Over the Sea. This has become like synonymous with male manipulators. It becomes like the butt of a joke in a lot of TikToks, where they're like, if you see him have a scarlet Focusrite in his room and this vinyl and it shows Aeroplane Over the Sea, it's like run, because again, that is what we associate with very emotionally unavailable guys. If we take a look at this album, its contents and artwork, I think we can find out why this music is often associated with male manipulators and why male manipulators gravitate towards this music. So if we look at the song Oh Comely, for example, from this album, it's poetically beautiful, and it's a very long song, and it's just a singer and guitar, which is most of the album. He's just wailing into melodic scenes, painting the picture with the lines like, your father made babies with flesh-licking ladies. The song is simple, of like 3 chords and a key change, yet it's haunting with the somewhat shrieking of this man talking about very like obscure things, you know, like what is he actually talking about? He says that he knows that they buried their bodies with others. I wish I could save them in some sort of time machine. The topics that Magnum discusses in this whole album is used with surrealist lyrics of fantasy, sexual awakenings, also domestic abuse and violence, but in ways that aren't so grim, almost in a romanticized surrealist way or delivery. And the obscureness of the tracks and its topics when listening takes you on a very almost like whimsical experience. Why is this appealing to male manipulators? Because I feel like they are just as misunderstood, as misinterpreted like this album. A lot of people find this album kind of off-putting, especially those who are more of mainstream music, who listen to pop music. Casual listener may find it even boring. However, the male manipulator understands the allegories and sees the beauty in dark topics that are being portrayed by melodic hums and heartstrums of an acoustic guitar. This album was released in 1998, but yet this is the staple for many male Gen Zers, primarily male manipulator Gen Zers. The nostalgia of a time that most of us weren't even born yet is something that a lot of Gen Zers just crave, and a lot of us try to replicate with romanticized versions of what we think this time period would consist of, how we would feel if we were living in this time period. The hunger for nostalgia drives this indie boy who also probably has dreams of pursuing a music career, photography, being a visual artist, doing some sort of creative thing. And a lot of male manipulators are in the creative field, which is also a pattern that I've noticed, is that a lot of male manipulators are some sort of artists themselves, which pays into the trope of starving artist, into tortured soul, into just agonizing pain. And I have a friend who really describes this person, but he is aware of his toxicity and knows that he cannot be in a relationship because he is too toxic. Also reminded me of the character from Whiplash, as he has that famous breakup scene where it has now become a TikTok audio, just saying that you will never be able to love this person he should, or as they are deserving of. But most male manipulators don't recognize that and kind of just, you know what I mean? Okay. The rustiness of a man and his guitar while talking about very human experiences in a surrealist way is appealing to many male manipulators, again, because they are very artsy. They're very into the avant-garde, or at least they like to convince themselves, some of them. It's just a romanticization as a generation in general, because our world is not like how it was before. We want something new but yet old at the same time, something familiar but something that's very different to us and how we operate and how we do things. And I think now it's time to switch over to the fashion boy side, the high fashion. So we're gonna look at the artist Frank Ocean, and I have a chip on my shoulder with Frank Ocean, okay, because I, in personal experience, have been with people that really like Frank Ocean, and they mark off male manipulator to the T, okay? We're gonna look at Frank Ocean, more specifically the album Blonde, okay? Again, we have the avant-garde, as it's sometimes characterized. His music is soulful R&B with a hint of psychedelic pop, as it has been called by music critics. He is heavily praised because of the production qualities that he have, and I guess his lyricism of how he presents his mind, of his thoughts, and how he constructs it to the listener, which makes these listeners, primarily male manipulators, feel like they're being heard, feel like they're being understood, because they themselves feel misunderstood. But when they hear something like Frank Ocean and the things that he discusses in his music, they feel seen. Of course, in male manipulator fashion, Frank Ocean recorded part of his album at Abbey Roads. Now, I don't think the Beatles is necessarily a red flag, but maybe John Lennon is a red flag. Kind of red flag, kind of not. You decide. And of course, it was released with the label Boys Don't Cry. I think that says enough. It's a perfect eclectic mix of sounds, and he says that he takes influences from Stevie Wonder, and the de facto Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys was said to be a strong influence as well for him. The individualism of taking genre that has already been established but making it unique in itself brings us to why this is appealing to male manipulators. They have things that have been done, music that has been done, photography that has been done, poetry, visual art, anything. It has been done, but they feel like they can do it better, or they're just so in this artist trope of just sadness and despair and just life is so hard and just no one understands me and I'm just a psychopath. Like, give or take, okay? And, you know, indie boys may listen to a lot of Mac DeMarco. They might listen to a lot of Deftones. Another artist for high fashion boys, I feel like the trinity for high fashion boys, Frank Ocean, Tyler, the Creator, and dare I say it, yay, peak male manipulator. Throw in Drake in there, throw in maybe 21 Savage. You can maybe even throw in Juice WRLD, okay? Throw in XXX. I feel like Lil Peep goes into femcel, but that's a different video. So let's go back to Frank Ocean. If we look at Ivy, we see him also painting a picture with words so vividly. He mentions Michael Jackson, and he has a sound that people cannot quite put a finger on. Again, this is the no one understands me trope that male manipulators find so appealing. And having high fashion guys like Frank Ocean, Ye, Tyler, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, I feel like there's just things that are in commonality with these kinds of music artists, all of which have different ways of approaching topics, but all of which have a similar message of, yeah, life is hard, life sucks, and I'm just mysterious and no one understands me. No one's going to understand me. I just have to be alone. I just can't. It's not the life for me. Like, honestly, I think just a lot of them just need therapy. A lot of them have unhealed trauma, unhealed issues that they try to use music as a coping mechanism, which is completely okay. Like, music as a coping mechanism is like completely valid, completely okay. Also looking at what kind of music and what these kinds of music artists kind of stand for. You kind of have a synonymous image of the Smiths with Morrissey. He just blatantly just is a terrible person. And yes, I still listen to the Smiths, but not for Morrissey because of, obviously, for obvious reasons. But some people listen to the Smiths for Morrissey because of what he says, what he believes, and things in that nature. Men who also are in the male manipulator, obviously, are the avant-garde ones that aren't still mainstream, like the artists that I've listed. Like, a famous one is American Football. You know, they're the ones that kind of are the catalyst for this male manipulator music trope of indie sleaze boy. The high fashion male manipulators are interesting to me because they also tread on the line of mainstream and, I guess, indie, because a lot of them that are into fashion also know very small designers who are also big in the underground scene, and they also really like, I guess, funk music, house funk music, just like fashion runway music, or just very obscure artists that you probably never know of. You probably can't even find their SoundCloud. It's probably someone's secret link or something. Things like that, I feel like, also delve into the high fashion boy male manipulator trope. In conclusion of all of this, I feel like obviously the male manipulator is a meme. It's a funny meme. I find it very funny just because it's just so funny, because it's like in the moment it's not funny when you're dealing with these kinds of people, but after you're just like, yeah, there's all these red flags, but still I chose to ignore it. Music and people's characteristics go hand in hand more and more these days because people's music taste says a lot about them. Not necessarily all the time, not necessarily a nail on the head, this is exactly who you are, as is zodiac signs don't always nail exactly who a person is, because every person is very complex and an individual. But there are certain patterns that can be recognized by people who do date these kinds of people, and from experience, I think it has a reflection of not only us being the person who is looking to date these said male manipulators, who in all means are giving them the benefit of the doubt. I feel like show us these attributes that we're like, okay, well, the last person was also like this, so I'm attributing this music with how the last person treated me. But I'm gonna give this new person a try because I'm trying not to box everyone in the same thing. But then yet again, they are exactly like the last one. So where is the line that we draw that, okay, well, do I actually take this as a red flag, or do I give them the benefit of the doubt again? And I guess that's just up to you to decide. But I do think there is a pattern. There is a very relevant and prevalent pattern of music and the personality traits and characteristics of men. And I guess the next video, to be fair, is going to be femcel music, so I'll get started on that. But let me know what y'all think at the end of this video, so I'll see y'all next time. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, bye.
Now, I don't know,